that is something new out of China that is one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen. And it is now a new social media status. And they're saying by 2020, right now it's voluntary, but by 2020 they say it's mandatory in China. And what it is you get a ranking or a rating as a person. What is it you're doing and saying on your social media? How much of it is against the government? How much of it is politically correct? How much of it is for the good of China? How much of it is not? Not only do you get ranked, but your friends get ranked based on what you post. So if you're my friend and I say, this is a bad policy, you get hurt because you have friended me. So it is a way to isolate entirely, and this is the new thing over in China. When I show it to you on probably Monday, it will boggle your mind. And if you think that that's not coming into the West, you're sadly mistaken. All they need is the information, and people who are not going to take this much metadata and do nothing with it when they can control populations. So, Oscar Schindler, not a guy that you would say. Would you agree with? And Pastor, let me ask you, too. God's last choice, right? That's usually how it works, isn't it?
He wouldn't have become a member of my church.
Right? Yeah. I love these people, because a lot of people are like, Glenn Beck, you're not a Christian. You're not very... whatever. A lot of people. Oscar Schindler would not be on my list either. Martin Luther King. Honestly, if I were his bishop or his preacher or pastor, I would have probably been sitting him down a lot saying, so tell me about how you're treating your wife again. And not the ones that we necessarily pick, but do you believe there is something to the idea that it's the ones that have nothing to lose that do it?
Well, it's the ones who have an obedient, responsive heart. They're faithful, they're available, they have a teachable spirit, and they're willing not to hold back those things that would cause them to feed their own ego. In other words, there's a bigger cause. I did a study a few years ago on what causes Christian universities to stop being Christian, what causes denominations to slide, what causes local congregations to lose their Christocentricity and stop what they once were. And I was the lecturer after the guy who was really the expert on this from Notre Dame. I wasn't the expert, he was, and I had to lecture after him, so I was very paranoid about trying to be in this environment. So I read and studied for like 6 months, and I could boil everything I studied and learned down to this. A person will lose their Christocentricity. They'll lose their convictional center once they long for the accolades of other people more than they fear God. It's that simple.
So what happened with Oscar Schindler? How did that happen? Who was he?